Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
Hey, y'all. I am excited. I feel like it's been a while since I have been back in the studio with our podcast, or at least it feels like that for me. But I just want to say hello, everybody. I am excited about our next guest. And as you all know, I'm always excited when I get to sit down with amazing women. And, you know, we've been talking about beauty and we've been talking about wellness. And we really wanted this series to really make sure that beauty isn't, you know, it's outward beauty, but it's also inward beauty. And so we want to make sure that that comes across, because sometimes, you know, sometimes it is outward, but our next guest has an outward beauty product, but she's going to give you her story literally of like how she got to this point, because she was doing a lot of stuff in the beauty industry and then decided to launch her own product. So I think we're just, and you know, guys, we know the beauty business is a multi-billion-dollar business. And so when I get to talk to our Black men and our Black women who are carving out a niche as a product, I am all over it, because this is an industry that we freaking dominate. Like, we really do not dominate. And I think we have to be okay with owning that, owning this industry. So I think, you know, when you talk about Black business and Black culture and Black beauty, that's we own that. And I think that the world needs to get notice of that, because that is something that we do, because we know that we know about, you know, we know about the Carol's Daughter, you know, we knew about that. We know about Shea Moisture, and we know about Mael. So we've got some brands that we can speak on today that literally built a community, had a tribe, and they launched even the lip bar. But this wonderful source, and I say wonderful source because she is certainly a light, and she is a woman with style and grace, and her name is LaGena Cain. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit. She was raised in a beauty environment that her family actually owned a beauty salon and school. So she was quickly exposed to hair and makeup and helping women to be transformed and be more confident. And so in 2018, LaGena, that is her name, but most people call her Lala. LaGena's mom passed away, and Poise Beauty Lips and Lifestyle brand was born. As Lala, as she affectionately calls, reflected on her life, she realized that she had always remained poised during adverse times, hence the name. So I'm excited to bring her to the show. And guys, she also has a book, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. So I just want to welcome my sister Lala to the show. Welcome.
Hi, Miss Larvetta. Thank you so much. That was an amazing introduction.
I just, it's so much to talk about. But I really don't want to give away too much, because I want people to get to know this beautiful this beautiful young girl who was like in the beauty school, in the beauty with her mom. Who was that girl? Who was that little girl, LaGena? Which at that point, everybody was calling you LaGena, or were they calling you Lala?
No, at that point, actually, everyone was calling me Gina. So Gina was my nickname most of my life. So everyone called me Gina. Yes.
Okay, so Gina, tell us about the little girl.
So the little girl grew up on the west side of Chicago. And my aunt had a beauty salon that she named after me. And at that point, that was like her fifth salon. I don't know what made her name the salon after me, but it definitely spoke into the trajectory of my life. But she named the salon after me, called LaGena's Beauty Salon. And it was a storefront salon, and we had apartments upstairs. And that's where my family, my aunt and her husband and her daughter, and me, my mom and my dad lived. So I literally lived above the salon, and I played in the salon. My playpen was literally in the salon as growing up. So I grew up around a huge salon. Maybe my aunt had two sides of her salon. It was maybe like 20 stylists that worked in there. So I grew up around beauty my whole life. I grew up around the hustle and the bustle, the people coming in selling clothes and shoes. And I grew up around all that my whole life. So entrepreneurship has always been around me, and beauty has always been around me. That's what I was born into.
Wow. So you were this little girl who was just surrounded around beauty professionals and
Yes.
quite frankly, and helping, women to look more confident. So you had it in you. So this isn't new. And so as a little girl, when did you realize that you wanted to pursue a business, that you didn't decide to do hair, but you wanted to go stay in the industry, but you wanted to take a different path? When did what at what point did that happen?
So as a little girl, I definitely knew I was going to be in the beauty industry. I thought I was going to do hair because that's what I was exposed to. So I was good at braiding mannequins, my baby doll's hair. Like I always did that. So I always thought that I was going to do hair. Um, but in high school, I kind of got away from it. I just, being around it my whole life, I just did not want to be in the hair industry. I did not want to do hair. I really kind of despised being in a salon, really. And I'm going to be honest with you, and it may sound weird, but particularly being in Black salons, because it was just an all day thing. I was like, I definitely don't want to work from sun up to sundown. I saw my mom do that like my whole life. So I was like, yeah, this is not what I want to do. So I kind of got out of wanting to do hair. And then my second passion has always been fashion. And that came from also being in the beauty industry, because we always had fashion shows, or hair shows, and fashion played a big part of those hair shows. So I always grew up around that. So my next passion was fashion. So after high school, I decided I wanted to pursue a career in fashion. So I went to Columbia College, got a fashion merchandising degree, and I was actually a fashion stylist for some years. But it wasn't until I started having a family and I got married and I was working in retail at Lori Shoes in Lincoln Park, where I met so many amazing women that are just amazing, phenomenal women in the fashion industry, so many walks of life. And so I loved what I was doing. But I decided then that I was pregnant and I needed more work-life balance. I wanted to do something where I set my own schedule. So that's when I decided, okay, my aunt has been trying to get me to get in the beauty industry since I've been born. Even while I was in college, she wanted me to open up a salon and I said no. And she always put that in my mind that no matter what you do, having beauty as your trade, having hair as your trade is something you can always fall back on, because people are always going to need their hair done. People are always going to need this. So it's still something you can do that can be in addition to what you're already doing. So that was something she always spoke to me. And that one day I just had an aha moment. I said, okay, I'm just going to go to beauty school. In my family, we have a beauty school, your School of Beauty Culture, which is located in Bronzeville. And I was deciding, okay, do I want to just get my cosmetology license, which cosmetology itself covers every part of beauty. You can be a barber as a cosmetologist. You can be a nail tech as a cosmetologist. You can practice aesthetics as a cosmetologist. So under the cosmetologist umbrella, you can go anywhere or practice whatever part of cosmetology that you want to. Or did I want to go to a specialized schools like Aveda and get my aesthetics license? So after pondering, I just thought it's just wiser for me to just go to my family school for free and get this cosmetology license. And then from there, if I want to like specialize in aesthetics, which I was leaning towards, I can then go to other classes and learn that technique. So that's when I decided to go to my family's beauty school and get my cosmetology license.
Lala, I'm so, first of all, I didn't know that you started off in fashion. The second thing that I think is incredible is that you mentioning the fact that beauty salons are like a mecca for fashion, and I don't think we understand it. And I think that's just for Black culture, right? Do you think that that's just because I know we'll talk about kind of coming out and working with other areas that were not all Black. Is that a Black thing within the
I
salon
would say
space?
predominantly, but the
Okay.
beauty industry is a fashion beauty. It's a very romanticized, pretty industry. So whether it's in the Black community or white, like we still look good. We always look the part, but definitely in the Black community, it's way more fashion emphasis for sure.
That's a good. So let's talk about, so now we've kind of moved into, okay, I'm in the beauty industry. So then what's next?
So, so yes, once I decided that I wanted to get in the beauty industry, I still was thinking I was going to do hair. But at the time, I was actually pregnant, planning a wedding, but I had gotten my cosmetology license at this point, and I was trying to enter into the beauty industry. So I was actually interviewing at hair salons, and a particular hair salon was a big chain back in the day. It was called Art and Science, located in Lincoln Park. So, like I said, I wanted to get away from the Black experience in the hair industry because I noticed that in other communities that it was more of a corporate ran business. It wasn't an all day wake up, do hair all day like that. I'm more of a structured person. I didn't want that type of lifestyle. So I definitely wanted to work somewhere where it was more structured, where it had, it was just a more corporate structured environment. So I auditioned and interviewed at a salon and I actually got the job. But apparently they take on new hires as apprentices, and you're not getting paid for like a year. You're working and you're learning their systems and you're not getting paid. And I'm like, okay, wait, that's not going to work for me.
What? Wait. I just want to pause. You're an apprentice for 1 year, not 1 month, 1 week, but for 1 year, and you're not getting paid?
You're not getting paid. No, I guess you get tips or what have you, but no, you're not getting paid. Yes. Which is honestly, if you, from a branding point of view, and we can go more into that later, it makes sense because if they're hiring their people and they're training them how they want them to be trained and they're giving them that proper training, so it's a lot of pros and cons with that. But for me, at the time with where I was in life, that wasn't going to work for me. So I was like, okay, I can't do that. And like I was saying, I worked at Lori Shoes during this time while I was pursuing my beauty degree and all those things. And while working at Lori Shoes, like I said, I met so many amazing people. And that's how I really built my network of just amazing people, even to this day, of women especially. I met a young lady at the time while working there, and she was shopping with me, and she mentioned that she was she was a regional manager for a store that was opening down the street from Lori's Shoes where I worked, and they were hiring for brow as like estheticians. And I was like, oh wow. And I was just inquiring and asking her what were the requirements and what did I like, pretty much finding out if I could apply there. And she was like, definitely, if you have a license in cosmetology or aesthetics, you can definitely apply for this position. So that is how I got into the brow business, by really just networking and talking to someone at working at Lori Shoes. So, and it's kind of like that's how my life has been. I've kind of always been guided to my next opportunities, kind of manifested my next opportunities by always thinking ahead and thinking about what I wanted. And those opportunities have always shown themselves to me. So that's how I got into the brow business. And I worked for Benefit Cosmetics when they opened in 2016. I think it was that year, maybe even before then. No, 2006, sorry. 2006, I opened that location and I was there for almost 15 years before I started my own waxing studio in 2019.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, guys, I want you all to just listen. And I don't know if you're, really listening. Like, when we hear the story of Lala and we hear LaGenia, I want us to understand that sometimes, and I love that she gave us the whole story, because sometimes we need to reintroduce ourselves back to the world.
Mm.
Where we are today isn't how we started, right? And so we started one way, but we're here now. And so I think it's important because from this little girl who wanted to be in beauty industry, but hey, I thought I was going to do hair. Then I went to waxing. Now I've got this incredible product. And so, I think all of these, moments in time as a business leader, as a beauty thought leader, helps you to be able to have an incredible product. So let's talk about this product, because I want the world to know what they need to be rocking on their lips. So let's talk about Poise Beauty lips.
Okay, and thank you for that. But I wanted to also say too, because you mentioned the wellness piece, and that's
Mhm.
what Poise Beauty itself. We are a lifestyle brand as well as a beauty brand. So we focus on the mental health of a woman as well, and inspiring the woman to tap within her inner beauty. Because, like I said, growing up in the beauty industry, I saw how us women getting dolled up, how that made us feel beautiful outwardly. But I also heard the conversations of sometimes us being depressed or being abused and not really doing our work to look or be beautiful internally. So Poise Beauty is not just a lipstick beauty brand. We're also a wellness brand. I just wanted to say that. But in terms of the lipstick piece, so I created this lipstick line once I started my own waxing brand. It's amazing how when you become your own entrepreneur and you work for yourself, you have more confidence or more time to think about other opportunities. And one day, literally, the idea of a lipstick brand just came into my mind. It was nothing that I ever sought out to do. It was nothing that I ever wanted to do. I never always ever said I want to own a lipstick line. It literally just came to my mind one day as a product to sell within my studio. And then I also thought about my mother. My mother was this Poise Beauty. She was this classy, jazzy woman who always told me never leave home without wearing lipstick on, without putting lipstick on, or without something on your lips, without looking your best. So it came to me thinking about wanting to have a product to sell other than brow products in my studio. And then I thought about my mother, and that's how the lipstick brand came into fruition.
So tell me this. I've been wanting to ask this question for quite some time, because I certainly support Black lip brands. Tell me that process, like the process of the color, the process. Do you all hear that? Yeah. So I really want our listeners to understand the process, like the process of determining the color, determining the lip name. So, can you share with us that process?
Definitely. So for me, I do not manufacture my lipsticks. So there are some brands who do. I use a manufacturing company, and I'm pretty much like a private label. Like my brand is private labeled on that product. So I use a private labeling company, a manufacturer that I did research on that really held the things that held true to me of what I wanted my product to be. So I did my research on what private labeling company I wanted to use, if that helps. So like the company that I use that make my products, they're made in the U.S.A. They're paraben and cruelty-free, meaning they're vegan and they don't have any carcinogens in them. And then they're made in the USA. And that was something that was very important to me from that point of view. And then once I found a company that offered those things, I came across this company who had just amazing products. Like the product that I have is just amazing. And I feel like, and I don't know this for sure, but I'm almost positive that other high-end brands use this private labeling company for their their cosmetics as well. So because the quality of this product is just top notch. So that's pretty much been my process. I can't speak for others because there are companies who make their own lipsticks, who manufacture them in their kitchen or have a manufacturing company. That, however, is not my story.
I love no, and I love that we've had people that's like, hey, I don't mix the beer, I don't mix the tequila. Like, we have someone that we tell them what to do. So I think it's important for people to see that there's multiple paths to building your product. You could be the manufacturer, or you can find a manufacturer and white label it, or black label it, whatever you want to call it. So I think it's important to showcase that. So tell us about what's your process when you give it the name.
So, like I said, Poise Beauty is a lifestyle brand that really focuses on just the betterment of the woman. So, all of my lipsticks are just powerful adjectives that I want women to be or feel like when they're wearing my lipsticks. Like, for example, majestic or fierce or poised or, what are some other names, or vibes. Like, I just have powerful adjectives that I want to speak into my consumer's life.
So what's your number one selling?
My number one selling is Soft Life, which is like a nude color. Another one is no Soft Life. Yes, Soft Life is a nude lip gloss, but Sexy is another top seller, which is a nude liquid matte. And my liquid mattes are my top sellers. And my liquid mattes, they go on as a liquid, very velvet liquid, go like application, and then they dry as a matte. Now the difference with my mattes is that my mattes are not drying like most mattes are. My mattes are made with vitamin E and avocado oil. So they're very moisture intense. They don't make your lips cake up and like most mattes do. So my liquid mattes are by far my top sellers, but my lip glosses as well are top sellers as well. And they're not sticky either. So Sexy, Soft Life, Poise, Fierce, and Vibes are like my top sellers.
First of all, I think I wore Soft Life. That's why I'm sitting here. Like, I think that was my jam because it's a nude that I love. And so that's my favorite. But I haven't tried
Yes.
Sexy. So I just want us to know that, I mean, just the name itself just says something, right? So when you put the name
Right.
itself, like, I'm wearing Sexy, I got it on my lips, and I am sexy. So that's a whole thing, right? So it's a
That's the
whole
whole
vibe. And
vibe.
I love that your names really speak to really the inner beauty of what you're
Yes.
showing off, right? So yes, I have this,
Yes.
nude or this red or what have you, but I feel sexy, right? I feel
Yes.
poised. Like, I think that that is such a unique way for a cosmetic line. So I want
Thank
to
you.
just say this because, we've been talking, all things beauty and wellness. Is there, and some people feel like, hey, this is my product. What's next for the Poise lip brand and lifestyle brand? Like, what's next? Is it like, I want to be able to go mainstream and sell retail? Or are you comfortable kind of just continue to be kind of in this private, sector of tribers, people that just love you and show up for you?
Well, I'm definitely not going to put a limit to where Poise can go. I'm definitely comfortable and in a great space, and Poise has been growing every year. We've had some great accomplishments. One of them being that we're now part of the Black Beauty Collective in Hyde Park. So that to me is getting us that exposure that we need and kind of getting our feet wet before we become mainstream, or if we get there. But I'm open to whatever God has for Poise Beauty. I definitely love the space that we're in right now. We've made great strides and great accomplishments. What's next for the brand itself is I want to open up wellness suites. So that's my goal. I want to continue with the wellness piece and have retreats and really pour into women. I do that often now with my Women Crush Wednesday speeches that I do on my Poise Beauty Life page. So I'm really just, my brand, Poise Beauty, it really resonates with me, so however I move personally is how my brand moves. And that's pretty much where we are, which is why I'm so very happy with the space that we're in, and I'm open to whatever comes our way for sure.
That's awesome. I mean, I think it's such a. I remember one of our guests out of Chicago, Curl Mix, and she said, she was saying this, similarly, like, I'm not going to say that today. I don't know what the future holds, right? So, but she was like, right now we're good, and I think it's okay. Like, it's okay to honor the space that you're in and still be open to where it can grow.
Yes.
Not necessarily striving that way or not striving that way. I think it's just, I think you said it, like the opportunity for us to get our feet wet in these collaborative spaces. Beauty collective, I think that's huge. And so I'm sure, expansion outside of Chicago, expansion into, other markets and creating those collaborations, I think is huge. But I think the other part that I want, our listeners to know is like, you have the lip brand, but you're really building this really beautiful wellness ecosystem, right? And so really getting people to understand that lip is just one of the many things, like you said, with your retreats and just all the things that to keep you confident and poised. So I think that is really powerful in its own right. And so I think just having that opportunity, because you know what, LaGena, I just wanted to say this, and I didn't say this earlier, is that, sometimes growing up as a little girl, wearing lipstick was like a bad thing. So, it was like, you're too young for lipstick, right? But it was almost, I mean, I think got older, it was like everything was, you can wear a gloss. And so as these young girls come up, and they certainly are all the way together, how do you talk to young girls about, in this place of being poised with lipstick? Because I grew up literally like, I mean, I couldn't wear lipstick probably until I was well out of high school, kind of when I was in college.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. And you're right, these young girls are just, they're watching the YouTube channels, they're being the influencers, they're definitely about that life way more than we were. We, like I said, my mom always said make sure I had something on my lips, and not lipstick per se, but like a gloss or something. I just feel like, I mean, with lipstick, is the question what is too young, or what are you really asking me to answer with that question?
Yeah, like, is it like when you think about young girls who perhaps want to, I mean, is that something that's come up? If it hasn't come up, it's okay. But just how do you deal with that with young girls wanting to, wear lipstick, wear color? How do you, as a brand, and if the little girls haven't found their way yet, I wanted to just ask that as it relates to, just the work that you all are doing as it relates to confidence. So how does that kind of relate, and how do you deal with that with young
I
girls
see where you're
who?
going with that. I think how I look at it, and this is my point of view, I don't think we should ever shun our girls from doing something that they feel can make them feel good or look good or give them that confidence. I think we should allow them that opportunity, but also explain to them what that is. Explain to them and continue to encourage that they don't need that, and makeup is an enhancement, or lipstick is an enhancement. It's not something that is making you pretty. It's enhancing who you already are. So I think we have to teach and continue to build in our young girls that inner beauty and that inner confidence. That's the main thing. But in terms of the lipstick being a bad thing and saying, oh no, you can't wear that, that's not something that I have ever done. Like, I have a daughter who's 19, and I remember my husband would take her shopping when he's shopping, and she'll see a lip gloss and he'll buy it for her. And I was okay with that. But I think it just has to be another conversation with also letting them know, don't let that be what you think is making you beautiful. That's enhancing what is already within you. So it's that inner beauty portion that we definitely have to teach teach our children and our young girls.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you raised your girl, because I know if some parents, oh, they can never wear lipstick, because of course that's something that their parents did, but I definitely think that we have to first kind of have that conversation to explain that. And I think that's the thing that I love, that you are recommending, or giving that perspective.
Yes.
So let's talk about this book. You launched a book.
I
Let's talk
did
about
launch
this
a book,
book.
and it's so funny. I launched the book this weekend, Mother's Day weekend in 2021, in honor of my mother. And the book is called Living a Poised Life. Again, to go with the whole brand of Poise Beauty. And the book is really part memoir and part self help. It's really going into just a guide to help women, again, tap within, as a journaling piece where you can journal and talk and write down your thoughts and your feelings and work through some things. But it's really just helping women tap within and pull out that inner goddess and really become the best version of themselves. So yeah, that it's been 2 years. That's 2 years now. Yeah, 2 years almost. Well, the second year that I launched that book this weekend for sure.
Mm. Well, I mean, we know that in this recording, guys, it's Mother's Day weekend. But by the time you guys hear, we might be in a whole different,
Yes.
a whole different space. But here's what I do know is that Mother's Day comes around every year. So let's be reminded of that. So when you make a purchase, you can make it we don't understand that there's a thing that's called, you can buy it in advance, right? You can buy it and prepare and give for Mother's Day or for Christmas or for Sweetest Day or Valentine's Day. So definitely. So I do want to ask you, we know we've been working in this segment around beauty, and we really think it's important because as we think about all of the beauty experts, wellness experts, we want to ask you, what is one self-care practice that you implement as you continue to help others to see their inner beauty?
The one self care regimen that I implement is I meditate every day for at least 5 minutes, if not 10, and I work out at least 30 minutes a day. So that's my self care that I do for myself every morning.
Nice, nice. And so, was that something that was in you, or did you kind of had a moment and was like, okay, this is what I need to do, and this is what's going to be best for me?
Well, that's funny you ask. So since college, I've always worked out. I actually was an aerobic instructor at Women's Workout World part time in college. Yes.
Wow.
So I've always had that workout piece. That's always been like my lifestyle. And actually in college, one of my professors recommended journaling. So I've been journaling since I was 19. So journaling and working out, actually journaling all through college and all through my life, journaling has been my main self-care tool for, I would say, over the last 30 years. But it wasn't until COVID or during the COVID pandemic, that a friend of mine introduced me or invited me to a daily meditation group. And from there, that kind of centered me during the pandemic and kept me sane. And I've just kept up with that regimen since then. So that's where the meditation piece came in. But I've always journaled and worked out since the beginning of
Mm.
time.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I think it's important for people to understand it, because I think sometimes beauty experts, they're busy making people beautiful, right? That they are they have to also make sure that they are implementing some kind of self-care practice. So I'm glad to hear that that is you all. So I want to talk through, because that as we wrap up, we ask these two questions because we believe it is important for people to know this, and that is, why do Black businesses matter?
Black businesses matter because, number one, we're like the biggest consumer. So that part in itself, that's why we matter. We buy a lot in this world, and Black businesses, we should benefit from that. We should benefit from the dollars that are being spent, and we need to build our community as a Black culture and community. We need to get back to that and really build our own economic system. So that's one of the main reasons why Black businesses matter.
Mm. And so, as I think about, the stuff that you're doing and that you're building, It's somewhat the same question with self-care, but I think we have to say that it is different in the sense of what brings you joy outside of business.
What brings me joy? It's the little things nowadays. It used to seem so much bigger, but now it's really seeing my daughter and my son's face coming home safely. That's my joy. Honestly, waking up every day and loving what I do, being in a space that I can wake up and make a difference for other people, but I also love exactly what I'm doing. I wouldn't be doing anything differently if I wasn't getting paid, but I happen to get paid doing what I love. So that's what brings me joy. Being around my friends, my sister friends, and being around good energy, that's what brings me joy. Just making good memories with great people and being authentic and showing up intentional and being purposeful, that's what brings me joy.
That's awesome. I am full of joy just off of that. Lala, please share with our listeners how they can connect with you.
You can connect with me on Instagram. That's where I'm at mostly. So Poise Beauty Life is my Instagram, and it's not a D at the end, so it's spelled Poise Beauty Life. So Poise Beauty Life on Instagram, and on LinkedIn, I'm there as well. My website for my products is poisebeautylife.com. You can find my products at the Black Beauty Collective in High Park on 53rd Street. And that's how to get in touch with me. That's how to stay in tune with me.
Lala, tell them the exact address to the Beauty Collective.
I believe it's 5305 South High Park Boulevard.
Okay. So for those that are in Chicago, guys, that is kind of like where 53rd is. I think it's 53rd and High Park Boulevard.
Yes.
So just to give you guys, for those of you all that may be traveling to Chicago and you want to spend some time to learn about beauty products, obviously you've heard LaGena's story, but you can go and purchase, because as much as we love these stories and sharing and amplify the stories, we certainly want you to be able to support her product and the things that she's doing to
Yes.
really uplift women and young women, right? Because we have women, and then there's a young group of young women that can appreciate that, because you know what? When I was growing up, I didn't have a LaGena that I could be like, oh my gosh, she's like me. She identifies like me. And so I think that is important. And so I just want to say, as we close, this has just been such a joy to have you here on the show. I do want to ask you this, just because I think that it is important, because when I hear people that start off with one thing, whether it's, over here to the left field, the right field, and then kind of go into a different direction, what would you tell someone that's like, okay, I kind of started off here, but I now want to pivot or transition into something else? What kind of advice would you like to give to them?
I think the main thing is just believe you can do it and don't be afraid to pivot. It's okay to have a change of heart. It's okay to want to do something different. Just believe that you can move forward with that thought. Keep thinking about what it is that you want to do. Do not allow any negativity to come into your mind. And just know that whatever you wants you. Whatever you want to achieve, you can achieve, but you have to believe it, and you just have to go after it. And that's for whatever you want to do in life and life in general. But the main thing is, don't be afraid to pivot. It's okay. And
I
and
love
give
it.
yourself grace every day.
But I love that you said, do what you want. What did you say? You said, do what you want that wants you.
Yes.
I
Well,
think that's
I was saying
powerful.
that what you want wants you, and to
What
know
you
that
want
you
wants.
have to be open for that, and know that it's
Yeah.
going to come, but just continue with that mindset of what you want, because it wants you to, and it's going to make its way to you.
Yeah, I love that. Like, oh my gosh, I love that, because that right there just sums up our show. So I just want what wants you guys. I think I'm going to leave you all with that, because I want you guys to continue to keep listening to us, and we continue. And in that, we want to be able to bring you incredible stories like LaGena's story, and bring that to the forefront, because all we're here is to continue to amplify these amazing stories. So we just want to thank you, LaGena, for being an incredible guest of Black Businesses Matter.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I just want to say, guys, we will see you next week. Take care.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.